Okay, Merry Christmas everyone. It's Christmas Day 2021. Santa Claus has been a little bit cheeky and he's got me some coil spacers. Pretty eager to get these in. They're just 1 inch and that'll go on top of my 3-inch springs, which will bring it up to 4 inches. I'll just do a quick video and show you how to put it in. Should only take 5 minutes. So first of all, you will need a high lift jack. These can be extremely dangerous if you don't know how to use them properly, but you will have to jack the body and chassis off the diff, so you'll need a jack that goes pretty high. Can use a hoist too, or just a extremely long bottle jack if you got one under the chassis. So there's a little bit of prep involved before you start jacking. So first of all, brake lines have to come off. If you don't have extended brake lines, mine are actually long enough to do this job without disconnecting it, but if you've got your normal brake lines, they will have to come off. If you've got an ABS model, you've got your ABS wires there. You've got to disconnect them to give them a little bit of play, otherwise they'll stretch and snap. They'll pull tight, and yeah, you'll have a nice little ABS light on your dash when you go to start your car up after that. And you'll have to disconnect your front shocks. Just the 1 bolt down the bottom on the diff. Just disconnect those on both sides. Mine are already disconnected, and then you can start jacking her up. Just periodically make sure the jack's straight. This one's not straight, just so it doesn't come off. I'll realign that. Your spring will start to come loose. Depending on how long your springs have been in for, they might get stuck on the diff. Just give it a little wiggle until it comes loose. I need to jack this up a little bit higher. Now I've just jacked it up a little bit more. You can see what I mean when I say to disconnect the brake line, because that's an extended brake line, but you can imagine if you had a stock standard one in that, you probably pretty much play the guitar with that. It'll be very taut. So the spring should come out now. The spring spacer goes in the top. Before you can put that in, you've got to pull the old spring seat out, which is this rubber piece. You just pull it out by hand. That's the old spring seat. The new spacer will just go up in there like that. Now that's all sitting in there loosely, you can start letting the jack down. Just as you're jacking the car down, just make sure everything is sitting nicely and all sitting in its right spot before you let it all the way down. By everything sitting in the right spot, I'd mean that the end of the spring there sits in its groove on the diff mount. Then after all that, if you took your brake lines off, bleed your brakes up, connect your ABS wires again, and put your shocks back in. Now I'm not going to film me doing the spacers on the rear, but sort of same deal. Take your shock off at that mount there and the other side. Instead of 2 brake lines this time, you've only got 1. That one there that runs up to your chassis rail from the diff. but your ABS wires you don't have to touch because they run up your control arms there. You don't have to touch them, so the rear's a little bit easier than the front. Just a quick note when you're doing the rears, your spring oscillating pad at the front looked like that. At the rear it looks like this, so you got to pull the whole thing out before you can put your spacer in. And just remember, like with any mod, you will need supporting mods for that. Maybe not for a 1-inch lift, but if you've got anything bigger in there. I've got the extended control arms from Jimny Bits. I've got adjustable panhard rod. Extended brake lines. Also at the back, you can't really see it, but do have a tail shaft spacer there as well. You'll need them when you start lifting your car for the drive line. And also longer shocks.